Hello, guys and girls. Welcome back to UK Dreamers. In today's session, we'll be talking about why we as doctors fail to become good entrepreneurs. And to enlighten us about this journey, this path, we've got Richard, who is one of the founders of the Doctorpreneurs Network, and he's going to enlighten our brains and trickle our neurons with some good advice and the learnings from him. Thank you so much, Richard. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you for having me. Definitely. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. It's a great pleasure to have you, Richard. I could say something about you, but I feel, it'll be better if you start telling us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about the network itself. So I'm Richard and I'm the founder of the Doctorpreneur Network. And the network itself is a supportive community of doctors who are embracing entrepreneurship. That's the core of it. And they're there to help support each other as they're building their own businesses and building their personal brands. So that's what the network is about. And how I kind of got into this is through my husband. So my husband is a doctor, and this time last year he finished his specialty, kind of reached the top of where he wanted to get to, and had said, "What comes next?" As always, what's next in the path in the journey. And entrepreneurship was one of the options. And at that point, I had some capacity to support him on that journey into entrepreneurship because that's my background. I've been doing it for 10 plus years, and that's what I did. I helped him set up his business, and he's now coaching doctors from South America who are looking to migrate and find work here in Europe, especially in Germany. It's where we're based. So it's been a process with him. And then what happened, as usual, I got referred to another doctor and another doctor, and I was just able to start supporting them on their own journeys into entrepreneurship. And around towards the end of last year was when I'd kind of been having enough conversations with doctors and working with doctors where they were saying, we stepped into these new roles, or we're embracing entrepreneurship in some capacity, whether it's alongside their existing roles, but we don't feel there's any support. We don't know who to turn to. We don't know how to take all this information that's available to us and make it apply to what we're doing. So that's where the network started. And then at the beginning of January, so just a few weeks ago, we opened that up to other members who are interested. So if there's doctors out there looking to join a group because they're interested in entrepreneurship and building their own thing, that's what we're here to support. So that's how I got to where I am today and what I'm doing.
That's a great journey, to be honest, Richard. Tell us, in a nutshell, because you've been doing this for quite some time.
Mhm.
Who do you call an entrepreneur, or who do you call a medical entrepreneur?
So I would say most of the doctors who are wanting to create something for themselves, they want to have something that they have control over. They want to build something that's going to lead them towards what their dreams are. So for some that's more freedom with their time, with their finances. That's sometimes just having complete control over their own schedule, how they work, this kind of things. So anybody who kind of is wanting to explore something that they haven't already and doing it for this sake of trying to find a way that's more aligned with what they would like in their life, or something that's more purpose driven, and they still want to help, they still want to offer their services, just packaged differently. So instead of it being maybe in a clinic or in a hospital environment, it's taking those same principles and same skills, that knowledge, that wealth of experience, and just offering it in a new format. And that is entrepreneurship. So that's can apply to, I think, anybody if they've got the right motivations, and we're seeing it more and more currently.
Absolutely. I think this has all turned into a big momentum post COVID, because I think that let people think that life is important. I'll give you a
Yeah.
very short example. I used to be a very hardcore emergency medicine doctor. day in, day out, because in India, you work 6 days a week. Before coming to the UK, I used to work in India. So I used to work 6 days a week. My seventh day is my day off, but I would go out in the community, teach them CPR, teach them first aid skills. I'm always somewhere or the other
Yeah.
running here and there. And that always kept me going and going. But I think when COVID hit, it's not like I'm criticizing what the events around the globe, but it did hit everyone at a personal level. And that made me realize, oh, I'm not invincible. I am delicate. I am vulnerable if I'm not good with my own health. And that's when, I started feeling, okay, I love to be a doctor. I love to be a clinician, but I need to do something along with it. People call it side hustle. I won't say side hustle. I would say more of a security, a sort of that you said, a self control sort of thing, that I can do things on my own without being dependent on much people. And yes, it does bring in some financial assurity as well. So I think that's where people started thinking more of that. That's my view of thinking.
Yeah, I think that period of time kind of sped up the process a little bit
Mhm.
quicker. So
Yes.
it got to the point where people were questioning and thinking what else is possible much faster because it was accelerated by COVID.
Yeah.
Um, and what didn't happen is it didn't go back because usually when things change, they change and move forward. They don't tend to go backwards. So post COVID, it just kind of people were still operating at higher capacities, being pushed to the limits, being pushed over the limits, and it's becoming more and more of a challenge, and rightly so. Doctors are also parents, brothers, sisters. It's they're more than just the title of doctor, and sometimes people forget that. And I think they have creative ideas and they have things that they want to explore and passions and dreams, and it's like those shouldn't be sacrificed just for the medicine side of things. And I think, like you say, COVID kind of opened that discussion of there's more to life.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Richard, we'll go straight to the point. So, what I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to ask you is, why doctor fail as being entrepreneurs? Because I'll tell you a simple story of mine. Before
Mm-hmm.
coming here, I started a business back home in India. It was basically about teaching people how to speak English, because in India, portion of people don't speak English, and if you were to go to a Western country which speaks English, you need to have IELTS or OET. So I started the coaching of that. Of course, COVID hit and it went into the bin, but before even that, I was struggling a lot. Me and my wife, we both were giving our time. We were spending loads of money. We had a good office in a good location. We kept number of staff. We were advertising, branding, but nothing was working. And there was no one who would essentially, as you rightly said, because as a doctor, if you step out of your boundary into something else, you're not expected to do it. So why doctors fail?
Well, I think from my experience and the doctors that I've worked with and spoken to, a lot of the challenges surrounding kind of this mindset of I'm a doctor and this is the path that I have followed most of my life, and stepping off that path and seeing what else is out there, it can be overwhelming because you realize that there's a lack of knowledge, a lack of skills. I'm sure these are things that you experience where it's like, how do I even start my business? How do I know? How do I test ideas? How do I know if my audience is correct? Like all of these questions, and that causes a lot of paralysis for a lot of doctors who have an idea but just don't know where to begin. So I think there's a lot around mindset shifting, especially in the very beginning, to being more towards how to move forward and how to take action. And then I think as well, there's not a lot of support. We've mentioned this right at the beginning, which is especially why the network exists. There's a lack of support, I think, for doctors who are stepping into these other roles and exploring these other opportunities because they're getting um, signals from family, friends, colleagues, like, why are you doing this? Why do you want to do this? Why are you throwing away potentially, all of this, all these opportunities, this job security, all these kind of things? So it's a real challenge because you're getting a lot of mixed signals. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of doubt, but that core to still find something that works and something that you're passionate about, it still sits there and it still needs to be uh, kind of I don't know, nurtured and at least tried to achieve it. So I think there's a lot there about why doctors sometimes struggle with entrepreneurship, especially in the early stages. I can't speak to your specific example because I'd have to ask you 100 questions. But one thing I found, especially for more established doctors who have started their own businesses, is it's not having the right support, not having the right group of people around them, or not having a mentor or something like that, someone who can guide them on very specific things. Because when you're in the early stages, it's quite universal, the problems, like how do I get started, how do I find my first client, how do I do sales, marketing. But once you're a bit more established, the problems become more specific that need solving. And I think if you don't get the right support, then it can very quickly unravel. But I think as well, it's also wise to keep in mind, and this is a mindset I think entrepreneurs know all too well, is your business changes, your business evolves. And every time you move forward in entrepreneurship, even if it's not doing the same thing that you started with, you are taking those skills with you into the next thing that you create. So, for example, you might say, yes, we had to close down our English speaking school. But then the next thing that you started up, you've got all that wealth and knowledge that you didn't have the first time that you can then apply um, until you finally hit the sweet spot. But it takes trial and error, and there's a lot of uncertainty and fear, and that's a lot of new areas that doctors have to explore when they come to entrepreneurship. And that's, I think, why uh, if they do attempt it, why some of them do fail. But
Absolutely.
I'm very much of the mindset that I think doctors especially make great entrepreneurs, just because of the skills and the wealth of knowledge that they've gained in their careers already. A lot of that is transferable into entrepreneurship, and I think it sets them up in a really good position when they do decide that that's for them.
I think as doctors, we are very bad at asking help.
Yeah.
I mean, we feel that it's, oh no no, I'm a doctor, I'm gonna do this by myself. I think I wouldn't say it's the ego, it's just the way we are raised. That you have to be resilient, you have to fight this, you have to find the
Yeah.
solution. So I think though that domain is not our expertise, but we feel, oh, I can do anything, and that also leads us to go the other way around.
Hmm. And I think as well, this is why I think the network is going to be a real great asset to doctorpreneurs, because you may not want to ask for help just from anybody, but asking another doctor, I think it's slightly different because there's a level of understanding and respect there that you've gone through a similar journey. Like, you don't mind asking for help because you know them. So I think this is what we'll see as well as the network grows. That people asking for help will be more of a commonplace. Um,
So,
yeah,
I attended one of the big conferences, and one of the persons started their pitch by saying, "Your network is your net worth."
I've heard that.
Yeah, we all have, but that made me trickle. At that time I said, "What is this person talking about?" But yeah, year down the lane, that I'm still, trying to get into that momentum. I truly believe that's a very very correct. You ought to say a dialogue, or the way you
Yeah.
should be approaching things. So that brings me to my third question, Richard. We always say that if I were to be a specialist, say for liver problems, I have to be a gastroenterologist, I have to study
Hmm.
gastroenterology. The people say the same. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to study business, you have to study marketing, you have to do a MBA or an executive sort of some form of course. Otherwise, you can't be an entrepreneur. Is that true?
I would say no, because there are thousands of examples of people who have built successful businesses with nothing. They've come from nothing. They've got no formal qualifications, formal skills. The thing that splits them apart from other people is they have found a problem and figured out a solution to that problem. That's the absolute fundamental part of entrepreneurship. If you don't have a problem, then your solution isn't going to be needed. Obviously, no one's going to be interested in purchasing your service, purchasing your products. So, problem solution. And I think that doesn't require an MBA, a degree, a certain qualification. And I think one of the things that I really want to stress for doctors, especially, is this mindset of always wanting to gain another qualification, to be fully to step into something fully informed, fully educated. I've got all the data, I've got all the knowledge, I've got all the skills. Now I'm ready to start. And that's where we see many of them step into starting MBAs, for example. And these are expensive, they take time, and what they don't do is get you starting in your business. Like, you could start today with your business. I wrote a post about this just yesterday. Like, in 60 minutes, we got her sat down and we got through setting her business up. 60 minutes. She needed a few different things like a calendar, a landing page, email address, but it can be done so simply. But often there's this mindset that if it's too simple, there's something wrong. That's not right. So I would just say you don't need those kind of qualifications. You have enough skills, you have enough experience, you've got enough knowledge of working with people, dealing with people. It's just a case of shifting that mindset and actually taking action, starting that thing, doing the thing that you want to do, testing the thing. Because a great analogy that I use is, a lot of people are like libraries. They like to gather data, they like to gather knowledge, they like to archive it, they like to keep it, and that's the library. But really, we should be in the laboratory testing those ideas, testing those experiments, gathering the data, because the business development happens. So doctors really have to shift from being in the library mindset to the laboratory mindset as quick as possible if they want to embrace entrepreneurship. And going for things like another certificate or qualification or an MBA or something just kind of makes you feel like you're making progress, but really, I think it's an excuse.
Absolutely. So
Get
Richard,
started.
yeah, for instance, now if there is a person like me who's got the
Mhm.
idea, oh, I could do this, so I've recognized the problem, I've got a tentative solution to it, I've got a bit
Mhm.
of a network, but I'm still not confident. So how to raise that, the tree of confidence inside is any, ideas on that?
So ideas on raising your confidence around what you're doing and what your
Yeah.
idea is.
Even like for instance, if I were to
Mhm.
approach you, people are a bit hesitant, they think, oh, I would be judged and, and this and that. So
Mhm.
how to overcome this fear is what I'm trying to.
Yeah, the biggest thing you could do is talk to people. I think ask questions. So you can talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your colleagues, reach out to people who are in a similar interest to you, or is in a similar industry that you're thinking of having something in, and just start asking questions. And I think through that process, you'll start to get the signals that you need, that actually you can do this and this is the right thing that you want to be doing. Or someone will guide you and say, oh, this is something I've experienced, and I would recommend you do the same. So I think to raise that confidence, you need more data, you need more touch points that really just stack up and compound until you get really confident. And let's just take an example. We see this, for example, with doctors who want to become coaches for healthcare professionals who are suffering with burnout, for example. So if you're passionate about that and maybe you've experienced it yourself and you want to support other healthcare professionals to avoid that, or to go through that, or to avoid going through it a second time. So if that's your idea and you're like, oh, I'm really passionate about this, I really see that what I can bring is valuable, but I'm not confident, the best thing to do is to talk to the people who are struggling with it. Talk to people who are, um, needing help, needing guidance, needing advice. Share your own story, and people will reach out to you and say, "I resonate with that. I really see the value in that." And that's going to give you the signals that you need to be like, okay, this is something I should look into. This is something I should pursue, and that confidence will just build over time. So yeah, small
So,
steps, small actionable steps.
yeah. So, Richard, please tell us how the Doctorpreneurs Network can help, the budding entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so like I say, it's a supportive community. So it is doctors who are embracing entrepreneurship, and there's doctors at different stages. So there are doctors who are at the very beginning. There's some, 12 months, 2 years into the journey, and some that are more established. So you're getting this access to a wide range of doctors who have gone through different experiences, but they all have the same goal. They all want to have those freedoms, have that control, have that thing that they're passionate about and aligned with. And everyone's doing it differently because everyone's in different niches, different industries, have different businesses and business types, and they've all come from different places. So some are completely stepped away from medicine. Some of them are juggling both because they still want to keep one foot in and one foot in entrepreneurship. So it's really just a great wealth of people and information and knowledge that you have kind of access to, and they get it. They've gone through that experience, so they can support each other through that shared experience. Um, then to grow as a person, to grow as a business owner, to grow your business, you're going to have that support through your fellow network members, and they're the ones who are going to be rooting for you. So you get your first client, you secure that first paid gig, or you get your speaking opportunity, or you get featured in that magazine. They're going to be the ones who are like, keep going, you've got this. Um and then there's going to be kind of opportunities that come through. So we're already starting to get opportunities for people to come in and do guest talks on particular topics. There are things for like press releases and social media promotion. So it's I think that the core thing with the network that I really want to promote is the visibility of doctors who are embracing entrepreneurship, because what have heard and saw consistently is there's not enough. There's not enough visibility of doctors who are doing this, and there are many doctors out there who are thinking, oh, I'd love to do something like this, or I'd love to pursue my passion, even if it's just for a few hours per week. It doesn't have to be that you drop everything and suddenly quit and go running off in a different direction. You can start small, but I think the fear there is they're not seeing enough, they're not hearing enough about that it's possible and how it's achieved in different people's stories. So really with the network, for me especially, from my side, is pushing out the stories and making uh, the work that they're doing more visible, so that it hopefully will inspire and motivate others to even start small, and start exploring what else is out there. So that's some of the benefits, I think. And we're still in this really early phase. So as it grows and it expands, well, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more exciting things to come.
Absolutely, and I'll share the details of the network by Richard. So, Richard, to wrap this talk up, what would be your pearls of wisdom to guys and girls like me who are dreaming a bit big,
Mm-hmm.
dreaming out of the box, but yet feeling restricted with the failure, the thought of failure?
Mm-hmm. I think I keep coming back to this, and it's wisdom that I've had to embrace myself, because in the past, with some of my previous entrepreneurial endeavors, I didn't embrace this, which is simplicity. You've got just keep it simple. So my whole business mantra right now is I'm building a business that with simplicity, ease, and joy. So my mindset is, if there's a problem, a challenge, or an idea, or anything that comes up and I want to act on it, I say to myself, what is the simplest form of this? What's the smallest version of this that I can at least get started on? And that's how you start to take action. And then if I'm challenged in any way or something's just not quite feeling right, I say to myself, how can I make this easier? If I can't, do I need it? That's the second question. And then joy, you've got to be enjoying what you're doing, because entrepreneurship is a whole different game and it requires a whole different commitment. And if you're not enjoying the process, it's going to be a challenge long term. So those are my business mantras, but I definitely try to instill on my clients and the people that I come across is keep it simple, keep it simple, keep it simple, because too often, and I see this every day, doctors like to overwhelm themselves with this process, and it's usually because there's too many things, too much noise, too much noise. So keep it simple, and I guess just be surrounded by people who will support you, because it like one of the doctors in the network mentioned last month in our group call. She said that it takes a village to like it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a business, and I think that really stuck with me, because I was like, that same mentality should be brought to entrepreneurship. So find your people, find your group, find that support, and yeah, take action, even if it's just something small, something tiny little today.
Absolutely. And,
Yeah.
to add it up, I would say, guys and girls, if you are fearing the failure, I heard a very, very, what to say, encouraging quote the other day. If you're doing something and you hear a no, that no is a yes somewhere else. So yeah,
Oh yes.
whatever you failed, you've learned, isn't it? So that no, you will, and to bring more light into this, if you just saw the Super Bowl in the States, and you saw the dance of Serena Williams, she did the same dance in the Olympics, and she was badly criticized for that. And that's what she said. That time I was demotivated, but now I've come
Mm.
back strong. And yes, her dancing moves are bang on. So I think that applies for all of us, isn't it?
Yeah. When it comes to failure, I have two things I'm always preaching, which is fail forward and fail fast. This is the quickest way you're going to get to success within your business. So I'll repeat that: fail forward and fail fast. And the second thing is, a no is only a no for right now,
Absolutely.
which
Thank
is
you so
what.
much, Richard. That was quite a different topic we talked today. Talking about failures, talking about the fear to express ourselves and to cherish the dreams and to pursue our passions and whatnot. So, guys and girls, if you got any further queries, please drop your comments in the section. We can try to get back to you. I'll also drop in details of Richard's network so you can reach out to him or reach out to me on UK Dreamers. And yeah, keep following the channel. Thank you so much, Richard, and you guys and girls will
Right.
see you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.